live in capital markets, basically. I mean, yes, I ran Long and Foster, but I was running a company, and I've traded hundreds upon hundreds of billions of dollars of mortgage-backed securities in my day. And I'm going to tell you guys, and I do this in a lot of speeches for real estate firms, but I'm normally showing a presentation. But you guys are on the front doorsteps of what's going to be one of the biggest purchase sprees that this nation has ever seen. And I think people shake their heads when I say this. It's not conjecture, it's not guesswork, it's demographics. And I wish I was on a different unit because I'd share the picture, but there's, if you take the distribution of all Americans in the United States using Census Bureau data, and so many economists are using this slide, they make it themselves, but they all look the same. The peak year, the median age for first-time home buyers in this country is age 34. If you look at 34-year-olds, if you look at the whole distribution of America, there's a little bubble and then it tails down where older people are aging out. The volume of Americans who are coming into age 34, 33, 32, 31, 30, all the way into the mid-20s, it's the biggest bubble of demand that this nation will have ever seen for home buying. And it's, people want to say, oh, I don't think so, or whatever. All I do is look at data, and data says we're going to get through this. Why do we feel so bad right now? Because of Powell. The Fed is tightening. It's called quantitative tightening. The Fed's raising rates to slow down an overheated economy. We're almost done. I have 3 articles. I could send it to you afterwards from Forbes and Bloomberg. I'm actually writing an article about this now for a publication. But we're on the tail end of this quantitative tightening. In fact, that when the Fed meets at the end of the month, they're probably only going to raise a quarter. So they've been going 75 basis points at a time. Then 50 was the last round. This is likely only going to be a quarter. And then the question is, will they do another one at the end of February, early March? I think they'll be done, personally. I think the economy has already slowed so dramatically that the data will show that to them. But mark my words, gang, the moment the Fed says QT is over, money is going to flood into the bond markets in the United States. People aren't buying mortgage-backed securities right now, and they're not buying a ton of treasuries because they don't know what yields are going to do. And as long as the Fed's tinkering with yields, there's no confidence. We call it convexity. There's no confidence in the duration of how long any bond's going to stick around, or a mortgage-backed security might refinance because rates are going to come down. The moment the Fed announces he's done, Powell announces he's done, then money's going to start flooding into the bond markets. That creates more demand. That means the price of mortgage bonds go up and the corresponding yields go down. So just like you've seen rates come down from the 7% highs to around 6 today, wherever they're bumping around, I can assure you, if you look at normalized margins, by the end of the year, we should have rates somewhere around 5.4 to 5.2 based on today's 10-year Treasury rate. And you're not going to, and the demographics of demand will be back in, and they'll be coming out of the woodwork to buy homes. And you'll be back to the same problem. Many of you are already still there. We never left it. But we'll be back to that same seller's market challenge where there's not enough inventory, and that's not a solvable problem short run. And, you're going to need to have a non-contingent full price cash offer or whatever you can put in place to avoid, to wipe away as much of the competition as possible when you put those offers in. So your frustrations around inventory will remain. But sometimes people try to tell me this is a repeat of 2008. Whoever says that doesn't understand demographics and market movers, and it's just non-comparison. This is almost over. Second half of this year, we're going to start seeing an increase in purchase demand. Next year, purchase transactions are going to be significantly higher than this year, and the following year as well. And I could share with you several forecasts from Lawrence Yun from NAR, or Mike Fratantoni from the MBA, or Duncan from Fannie Mae. All these economists, everybody's saying the exact same thing about the market because they know the core variables of supply and demand, which is what drives our business.
Yeah, David, if anything you want to send me, I can redistribute out to the group as well.
Okay.
you. And
Yeah, I'll send you a few slides.
I've been traveling around the country teaching, and each market, the way I describe it is that you feel the energy right now in the market, and it's like you're in the ocean and you sort of feel the wave coming before it hits, right?
Yes,
Like
right.
that's the way it feels right now. And for all the agents that are listening to this, like we have a window of time to get the things done, the foundational things that you should be doing in your business, like a CRM organization, the plans, all this stuff, and then it's going to be busy. It is going to be
And
busy. We got to
if I could just, yeah, and if I could emphasize, the one thing that you can get from folks, whoever it is, I'd be glad to do it someday if you ever want to do it and it's a presentation format. I can give you the data slides that are really easy for consumer to understand, which tell this story without having to make it up or try to search, where do I find this stuff? I just have the benefit, having been a significant player in a presidential administration, that every economist sends me their stuff all the time. And I pick out the data that I think really will work for potential home buyers. Because home buyers who say, I'm going to just wait this out. I'm going to see, wait till real estate prices level out. It's an absurdity. One of my slides is the history of home prices in the United States going back to 1955. It comes from the Federal Reserve of St. Louis. It's the median sales price of all single-family homes in the United States going back to 1955. That's 11 recessions, by the way, since 1955, 11 recessions. And through that entire time, home prices have only gone up. Yes, they may correct for a period of time. The Great Recession was the worst correction, but they always recover not just back to that level, but above that. And that slide from the Federal Reserve of St. Louis, which is where you pull data from, it's called FRED. In fact, you could Google it. Just type in FRED, F-R-E-D, median sales price of single-family homes sold in the United States. That slide will come up. It'll take you to the website.
Someone right now is going to bring it and put it in the chat. So someone,
yeah, if you could see it. But the reality is, gang, that data overcomes emotion. I really think that facts help level set you. And I think that the biggest challenge that real estate agents have, and loan officers, frankly, is they have to oftentimes sort of make up their own story about what's going to go on in the market. And they get pummeled with a lot of people who are negative. And negativity right now is rampant because nobody understands how the market operates. And so stuff like this can help in terms of, in this case, in my view right now, I think we ought to be motivating potential home buyers to get off the dime and go make the offer now before the market heats up later this year, because at least now you might be able to bargain on something. Maybe it's price, maybe it's a home inspection, for God's sake, or maybe it's a temporary buy down, who knows what.
And I believe too, like if you have people that need to, like the buy sell people, this is their window, because they're actually going to time it in the buy and then sell if they can afford to time this right. Like, man, I really want to stress, guys, we are in a really nice little window here that we have an opportunity, and I'm so motivated right now to get in front of as many people as I can to just preach. As I wish we had 10,000 people on this call right now hearing this. And David, if you're comfortable with it, I would love to coordinate a time where we can actually get thousands of Compass agents on a call to hear some of.
Yeah, whenever, of course. I do this for Compass groups a lot, again, because of my relationship in the Mid-Atlantic.
Good thing, Livy. Thank you so much, Livy. I'm so glad you married to this family.
Well, it's funny. I did Brian Buffoon at I don't know, maybe a year ago. There were 124,000 people, realtors, who listened to that podcast. You need to get good information to help you communicate more effectively about what's going to happen. Because at the end of the day, I view the real estate agent as you're the front lines for consumer attitude about housing. They don't have anywhere to go, and they read terrible media. It's not well educated and likes to inflame whatever the story of the day is. And they'll turn to you. They'll say, what do you think? And you don't want to tell lies. You don't want to make up stuff. You want to be able to say things that are factual. And that's where, good information can help. Anyway.
Amazing. And what we can do after that interview is produce assets for you guys to use as well. So I'm really pumped. David, I'm going to actually bring on my amazing partner here, Emily, who you walk out her front door, you actually see the Colorado stadium from her front step.
Nice.
I thought you were going to say the smoke from all the weed.
Boulder's a fun place, let's say.
Yes, it is.
I love Boulder.
I know. David, quick question for you with regard to, maybe it's not a quick question, but when you were in college, ski bum, weed smoker, all those fun things in Boulder, what was it that you were looking forward to doing in your life? Like, what did you want to do before you started doing what you're doing now?
Well, yeah. So I came to CU and stayed one semester. I moved up to Aspen and ski bum for 2 years. So that was my orientation to Colorado. But when I went back, I always had sort of a political angle to my life. And so I got very involved with some student groups. I ran for student body president. I was on the UCSU, the student council government. And back in the day, we prided ourselves because the CU student government ran the biggest budget of any student government in America for a college university. But then I got involved in some Senate races. I'm not going to name names. It goes back too far. I ended up meeting my wife from Denver. She's grew up in Denver, and most of her family went to Boulder. And we met on a Senate campaign. So weirdly, I was doing all this political stuff. I then was flat broke. I needed money, and I thought I'd take some time off and maybe go back and either go to law school or go back into a political campaign. And somebody said, well, you should try being a loan officer. You can make, X amount of dollars. I'm going, whoa. So I said, I'll try that for a little while. So I became a loan officer in 1983, and I was too successful at it and never could afford to go back into the political world. So it's funny, a full circle event happened, did my whole career. And then suddenly I get called by a president to come back in and do the political stuff.
I love that. All right. What would you suggest to the agents on this call? It's so great. I see all the comments in the chat saying, this is such a great interview, all of this information that's really great for them to share with their clients, their potential clients. What would be some of the next steps that you would suggest to the agents on this call with regards to getting really good at getting this data and then being really good at conveying what the situation truly is, so that we're not buying into whatever the media is inflaming?
Yeah. So look, I'm a believer that you have to practice optimism as a daily event. I loved your meditation, by the way. If you could call me every morning and just go through that with me. But
Sure thing.
I think you have to practice optimism. It's not that we're always all optimistic and happy and all the time. I got cancer. I'm fighting cancer right now. I've been fighting it for 6 years. So I got that side of my life. But the reality is, when I'm doing business, and business to me are things like this, and I have a whole bunch of clients in my consulting practice that are from our industry, I do nothing but scour the universe for information that I think will help them be successful. That's my whole goal. I just want real estate agents or mortgage bankers or title agents or whoever home builders to be successful. And so I don't need to listen to Diana Olick on CNBC tell me how bad the market's going to be. She's been wrong on the market more times than she's ever been right over the last 10 years. And I've been on Squawk Box with her umpteen times. I scour for things that are positive. So I go to Fred, the Federal Reserve of St. Louis. I look for things that are going to help me tell a story, like the history of the 30-year fixed rate loan. You've all seen that on a graph somewhere. But rates today at 6 are near historic lows. I mean, I want people to stop licking their wounds about losing 2.5% or 3% and get on with our lives. I look for good economic data. I look for future of home buying demand. I research economists like Mark Zandi from Moody's Analytics, or Michael Fratantoni, who's the chief economist of the MBA. I'm a fan of his because I put him in that job. He's a great economist. But and I get their slide decks, and I don't share the bad stuff. It's not that yes, I do cherry pick. I pick the data slides. I'm not making things up. I just pick the data slides that tell the best part of the story without over embellishing. So like that demographic slide and just the shortage of supply in real estate in America, the history of home prices in this country, just those 3 slides tell you, damn, I better get back in this market quickly because
Right.
I'm going to be forced out. And so I think it's how you approach your day. And if you let other people get you down around you about our business, about what you do for a living, I mean, that's the end. That's the virtuous circle heading downstream. You just don't want to end up in a scenario where you're being convinced why this is a bad time to buy a home right now, because it's not, first of all, and it's real easy to be convinced otherwise. So, yeah.
David, hey, first off, thank you for sharing. Do you mind, or if you can, let's obviously switch this 180 degrees on the personal side, if you're okay with that.
Sure.
You mentioned you're battling cancer. And you can be as vulnerable or open as you want or not, but do you mind telling us a little bit about what's going on with your health and your battle with cancer?
Sure. I've been very public on it because I ran a big trade organization and I announced it to an audience of about 4,000 people when I first got diagnosed. Look, some of you probably have cancer on this call, and many of you have friends or relatives who are battling it. I got diagnosed and I was religious about physicals and all that stuff every year. But nevertheless, I got diagnosed in 2016 with prostate cancer. And by the time I got to Johns Hopkins, the horse was already out of the barn. And anybody who has cancer, especially cancer that's spread, called metastatic cancer, whether it's breast cancer, prostate cancer, it doesn't really matter. Once it's spread, you can never stop it. You just have to spend the rest of your life playing whack-a-mole and attacking it. I was fortunate that I refused to listen to the team at GW Hospital in Washington, D.C. And I did my research and I found the head of research at Johns Hopkins, which is ranked always tied for number 1, typically for the best for dealing with this type of cancer. And he's the head of research. And I was young enough and he said, I want you as one of my guinea pigs. So I've been getting all sorts of treatments that aren't readily available. I've been to Germany a few times. They have the most cutting edge treatments in Germany for this cancer. And so today, here I am with a disease I should have died from. 80% of the guys die within the first 5 years, and I'm going on year 7, and I'm fine, relatively speaking. It's barely detectable, very low numbers. But yeah, I mean, cancer sucks, right? I mean, we all know either our parents or our sisters or brothers or best friends or ourselves. There's someone who's fighting this terrible disease. So. I'm just one of those guys. I'm an evangelical about cancer. I raise money aggressively. There's a campaign called Stephen Strong that Johns Hopkins is running right now. And last year we raised $1.5 million. The Prostate Cancer Foundation, which is in Newport, California, matched every dollar that I raised with a equal contribution. And so, we're doing everything. My wife and I are doing everything we can to support research to kill that goddamn disease. But whether it's my lifetime or somebody else's, they will kill it. So
yeah. Well, David, what have you learned? What's something you've learned from battling this horrible disease that you like? If you could tell us all on the call, like what's a lesson, either a physical lesson, mental, emotional? Like, is there something that you're like, man, if everyone can know this?
Have a good significant other at your side.
Yeah.
Most people around me think that I'm like I am with you right now. Mary gets the bad side of this. But look, I think, family, friends, I didn't let career interrupt my life. I decided to leave my job at the MBA. I didn't want to be full-time kissing the butts of all the CEOs of the mortgage lenders in this country. And I was fortunate enough that I could walk away, and I started this consulting practice, which I do today, and I get to pick my clients and where I work and who I want to work with. I'm heading to Costa Rica on Sunday for a week with 3 other couples, and we're going to have a blast down there. And to me, it's just about living your life as much as possible. For my Colorado friends, I can't ski anymore. I was a massive out of bounds skier and through the backwoods, and I lived for going to Colorado primarily, sometimes Utah, to ski for several weeks in the winter. And when you treat cancer for this long, you tend to get some brittle bones somewhere in your body. So I've been told I can do the bunny slopes with my grandson. That's about it. So it does change your life, make no mistake about it, but you just learn to roll with the punches and try to get up again tomorrow and go fight another war. But you can't let cancer rule your life. And so the more you can keep it out of your mind, I think the better off you are.
Yeah. Wow. Well, this is like, Emma, it's like one of those interviews. It's like, I just wish everyone could hear this one.
I feel the same. It's quite a remarkable interview. It's one of those that just makes us all pause and step back and hopefully remember what is truly important. And the fact that, David, you show up with this type of energy is just remarkable.
Yeah. We're grateful and
thanks.
blessed to be on this call with you, David. And I'm going to be talking to you after about
please do not feed this man's ego any more than it needs than it already is.
Oh, Libby.
I'm saying do not feed his
Libby,
ego. His head's growing beyond my
Libby, I'm a
computer
sales guy.
screen.
I'm trying to get another interview. So be quiet. I'm muting Libby right now. Libby, I'm in my sales mode. David, you're the most, your hair, David, like beautiful hair. Like, man, I've never
Libby, you
hair
hearing that? There you go.
Well, David, to end this on a really fun, positive, we end every call with a fun 6 at 6 question. So we're not talking about the economy or cancer. We're actually going to talk about you. And Emily's going to walk you through some really fun 6 questions. And with you, I think it's actually going to be really fun. So I can't wait to hear some of these answers. So Emily, take it away.
All right. Are you ready? Here we go.
Yes.
Okay. David, how would you describe your most perfect day?
Oh my God. A sunny day at my lake house. If you see the water out there through the window, on the boat with my family, just enjoying the stuff we get to do down here in this massive lake.
It's lovely. Okay. If you could time travel to any time, either in the future or in the past, any place, when and where would you like to go?
I was thinking about this. It's a funny question. My dad was a lot older than me. He was 50 years old when I was born. So he was born in 1907 and he graduated from Harvard class in 1929. And he went from Harvard to Wall Street and became a runner on Wall Street, which men back in those days wore cutaways to work. And they lived in men's hotels down in lower Manhattan. And running meant you really literally ran physical orders. There was no technology for stocks. And I was just literally thinking about this 2 days ago. So I was thinking I should write this story about my dad.
Yeah.
And I would love to go back in that time because there's so many questions I wanted to ask him about life in those days. It was the Roaring 20s. It was we had the Great Depression that hit him. He had just barely started on Wall Street and the Depression hit. He ended up being in World War II. He was a lieutenant colonel under General Doolittle in North Africa and Italy. Libby's met my dad, but it was just it's a great story that I've always thought, that's when great Americans were made, I think. And I'd always love to get a chance to go back in that time and see what that was like.
Wow. That needs to be in a book for sure. That sounds great.
It's one of the chapters for sure.
Okay. What is one thing that you would love to master?
That was guitar.
Guitar. There you go.
Yes, I play a lot, but I'm a hacker, not an expert by any stretch. And I hate to say it, I watch TikTok videos of great guitarists doing their riffs, and it's just so natural. I wish I had that skill.
Oh, that's too funny. What is either a book or a movie that you tend to go back to time and time again?
Well, the books, I've read are mostly one-time deals unless I use them for business. Like there's a classic book called Execution. It became a New York Times bestseller. And oftentimes when I'm giving speeches about leadership, I'll go back to that book and pull sections out of it. Another simple one, by the way, is Who Moved My Cheese? If you haven't read that one, that's a 1 hour read, but it's tells a story about why you should always try new things and don't get too locked into your habits. And movie, I'll give you two. I like Casablanca.
Uh-huh.
I love it. It's a classic, and I love The Matrix. Whatever.
That's perfect. That's just a perfect answer. All right. My favorite question here. Who was your first celebrity childhood crush?
I was young, I grew up and we had TV was black and white. First childhood crush, celebrity childhood crush.
Mhm.
I don't think I had one really. My first crush was Maggie Eastland. She was a 13-year-old in junior high school.
Oh,
I
that's
don't know.
adorable. I love that. Okay, final question for you. What is the first thing you're going to do after we get off this call?
I've got to prepare for a board of directors call. I sit on the board of a big real estate investment trust called Dynex. It's on the New York Stock Exchange, and I'm a member of the board, and we have an investment committee meeting. So thrilling stuff.
It was so great to get to know you. Thank you for letting us run through the 6 at 6 with you.
Amazing
Okay.
interview. I mean, like I said, this is one of the best parts of doing the 6 Amers is get to talk to people like you. And I am not kidding, David. I actually want to talk to you about doing a national broadcast to Compass agents on just, we'll do more of his presentation style and really data driven. And Libby, I am eternally grateful. Just so you guys know, on the East Coast, Libby is one of the funniest persons that I know. And her jokes in the chat when we do the East Coast, like it's
and she'd be the first to tell you how fortunate she has to have a brother-in-law like me, right, Liv?
yeah. No, we're grateful for everyone. And in the chat, there is a potential manifesting some tickets for the game. I've gotten some private messages over here. So
Okay.
here's of an Eagles ticket this weekend or a 49ers ticket. Just kidding. All right, guys. Well, great interview, David. I'm eternally grateful. I'm going to be reaching out to you after this as well. And be well, my friend, and stay healthy, stay happy. And great job. And Emily, thank you for everything. And thanks to everyone on this call as well. So we're truly blessed to be on this call and be able to enjoy this morning.
Prepare to be
Great to do it.
disappointed, my friend.
All right, keep chirping over there. Keep chirping. It's a Philly thing. You wouldn't understand.
I'm rooting
I'm
for you,
looking for
Sky. You
somebody
already
sending
lost to
some
the
nice goodie box
Astros,
to me.
so.
No, they already lost the Astros. All right, that was a surprise.
Sky.
That was a bonus.
Big call.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, David. Thanks, David.